Yes, you are audible, Dr. Shrija.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So my topic for today is 3D TE, a value addition in the cath lab. As we all know, imaging is the cornerstone of all interventions, and more complex structural interventions, they are being done. So it necessitates good procedural imaging guidance. So 2D echocardiography, both transthoracic and TE is most commonly used. It's a familiar mode. However, it has only 2 spatial dimensions and hence needs multiple imaging planes.
Dr. Shrija, if you can go full screen for your slides.
Yeah, sorry. So 3D echocardiography uses a matrix array probe, and it provides a complete morphological information and allows a real-time navigation in a 3-dimensional space. Basically, we are able to see structures in reality. It also allows visualization of catheters, sheaths, and devices without excessive probe manipulation. This makes it ideal during interventions. So basically, real-time 3D TE is used in the cath lab, which has basically 2 modes. One is the live 3D, which is a single beat. A pyramidal set of 60 by 30 is displayed in real time. It generates very high-quality images at a higher frame rate, and it allows steering in both lateral and elevation planes. The next mode, which is used in the cath lab, is a 3D zoom mode, which displays a truncated but magnified pyramidal data set of variable size. We will size the zoom sector over the area of interest and acquire the data set. So some procedures where 3D TE has been found useful is in ASD or PA4 device closure, transseptal puncture, left atrial appendage device closure, and mitral valve interventions like a paravalvular leak device closure, MitraClip procedure, and a transcatheter mitral valve replacement. Coming to ASD device closure is one of the most commonly performed interventions and mostly done under 2D guidance. What is the advantage of a 3-dimensional imaging? Pre-procedure, it allows to assess the margins of the ASD and its relation to the surrounding structures. As you can see here, this is an on-fast view of the atrial septum from the right atrial side. And there is a centrally located ASD. This is the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, aorta, and the AV valve. So we can appreciate, one thing which we cannot appreciate in 2D is the dynamicity of this defect. You can see how it changes its dimensions with the cardiac cycle. So you can freeze and measure the maximal diameter, thus improving the accuracy of your device size selection. So this is during the device closure, it guides the procedure. This is the atrial ASD, which is seen from the left atrial side. Sorry, there's some problem with the PowerPoint. I'll just share it again, sorry. Really sorry, I don't know what happened.
No, it's okay. I think you'll have to restart your system maybe.
I'm just reopening it. Is it visible now?
No, you have to share your screen again.
Sure, sorry. Is it visible now?
No, Dr. Shrija.
Yeah.
I think your screen is not shared. Can you share the screen?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm sharing it now. Seen now?
Yeah. Please go to slideshow and go ahead.
Yeah. So during the device closure, we can see that the sheath, this is the sheath across the ASD, this is the left atrium, this is the right atrium. And this is the device being deployed. You can see the left atrial disc getting opposed to the septum. This is the atrial septum. And this is the fully deployed device. The main advantage over a 2D TE is that 2D TE needs multiple views to confirm the device position, whereas in 3D, with a single view, you can assess the correct device position. Now, another use is in multiple defects. Here you can see some strands of tissue in between the ASD in 2D TE, but we have no idea about the morphology of the ASD. However, when we go to a 3D TE, you can see that clearly there are two defects which are separated by a strand of tissue. This also helps during device closure of multiple defects by assessing which the catheter which is crossing through the desired ASD. And this is how both the devices sit after the deployment. Now, similarly, PFO device is also being guided by a 3D TE. You can see this is an oblique view of the atrial septum. The left atrial disc is getting opened. You can appreciate the clasping of the septum and the PFO by the left atrial, right atrial disc also. Coming to transeptal puncture, it's a common entry point for many left heart procedures. It's usually performed under fluoroscopy and 2D TE. Imaging guidance is especially useful when there is a specific anatomic site of puncture is needed, like in an LA appendage device or a percutaneous mitral clip or a paravalvulic device closure. Also, it's useful when there is a previous transeptal puncture failure, or in conditions like kyphoscoliosis or septal aneurysm or root dilatation, which alters the normal anatomical landmarks. So here you can see a transeptal puncture and tenting of the septum, which is seen in 2D TE. In a 3D TE, this is the image which we get. This is the tenting of the catheter, which is seen on the left atrial side as a tent like this. However, since there is no contrast in the background, it is little difficult to appreciate it, and so many interventions don't prefer doing it under the 3D TE. Used in LA appendage device, it provides an en-face view of the LA appendage orifice, which allows sizing of the orifice in different dimensions, and this sizing is shown to correlate nicely with the 64 slice CT. It also guides the correct positioning of the guide catheter inside the LA appendage and monitoring the device. Here, this is still image which shows the LA appendage ostium en face, and there's already a catheter inside. And you can crop the image to see more and more of the catheter, including its tip, and further cropping will allow visualization of the lobes of the LA appendage. So this is a simultaneous 2D biplane and a 3D image showing a sheath which has gone into the left atrial appendage. And this is the deployment of the device in the appendage. You can see that each procedure, it is seen inside the first lobe getting deployed and then followed by complete expansion and the disc getting apposed across the left atrial orifice. Now coming to mitral paravalvulic device closure, this is one procedure with which we have maximum experience in our center. So 3D TE is the imaging modality of choice, and the zoom mode is the most useful. An overhead perspective, the so-called surgical view, is maintained during the entire procedures, and it allows the complete visualization of the left atrium and the mitral valve. So this is it can be either described as a clock position with aorta in the 12 o'clock position, LA appendage in the 9 o'clock position, or alternatively it can be called as anterior, medial, lateral, and posterior. And you can name the paravalvular leaks according to this relationship. Here there will be the interatrial septum. So this is a device which we did recently. It's a 68-year-old with a redo mitral valve replacement with a bioprosthesis with a renal failure. It's especially important to have the importance of imaging increases in patients with a renal insufficiency as the contrast usage can be minimized. So here this TE is showing a large medial mitral paravalvular leak. On a 3D zoom, the en-face view, you can see that there's a sewing ring here. There's a mitral bioprosthesis here, and there is a paravalvular leak in the posteromedial location. This is not very nicely visible in this view. This, what is seen here, is an artifact. So we confirm it by a 3D color. The 3D color shows a regurgitant jet emanating from that area. Since it was a long crescentic leak, we decided to close it with multiple plugs. So we did 2 transeptal punctures. And as you can see, there are 2 sheaths across the atrial septum into the left atrium. And you can already see a retrograde catheter across the leak, which has crossed the leak from the LV side. Now this image of this 3D image shows the long sheath which has gone across the PVL. And this is the deployment of the first plug. You can see how it is orienting itself well inside the heart. However, on deployment, it is not completely coaxial to the leak or to the sewing ring. So this is the recapturing of the device so that it can be redeployed with the better alignments, and this is aligned better compared to the first. So all this can be seen as it is happening inside the heart. And this is a deployment of the second device, which again is forming in a sort of slightly at an angle to the first device. So now these are the 2 devices being deployed. Again, by color flow, we assess 2D, and basically by 2D color flow, we assess the residual leak. And since there was a residual leak, we again crossed the leak anterior to the 2 devices. This is a wire which is seen, which has crossed the leak anteriorly. And this is the deployment of the third plug. So all this can be monitored by the single view. So this is the final position of the three devices. You can see how they orient with each other also. And of course, the 2D color is mainly used to confirm the residual leaks. Sometimes in 2D TE, you see multiple jets of regurgitation, and we do not have an idea about what is the morphology of these leaks. When we go to a 3D, you can see how clearly it is seen. There are multiple irregular shaped paravalvular leaks, which is in the posterior location. You can see already a sheath which is gone across one of those leaks. Sometimes it allows the 3D only allows us to appreciate where is the crossing of the wire or the sheath. Sometimes it may be crossing anteriorly, especially when there is a large leak. Here you can see that there is a crossing of the sheath in between the two devices which are already deployed, and that facilitates the deployment of a third device. Now coming to percutaneous mitral valve repair, is the mitral clip procedure is another important intervention where 3D TE is used, though we do not have any experience with it. It consists of bringing the anterior and posterior leaflets together with a metallic clip, thereby creating a double orifice valve. Again, the same view is used. Initially, it is used to assess the distance from the transeptal puncture to the mitral valve. This is important in planning, mitral clip intervention for orienting the delivery system properly. Here, this is a video of the same, which shows that the delivery system of the mitral clip has gone across the atrial septum into the LA, and the interventionist can safely steer it or manipulate it to the desired position. Actually, the clip arms should be perpendicular to the coaptation line of the mitral valve. So all this is nicely shown by a 3D TE. And the clips, after grasping the leaflets, the grasp is done from the left ventricular side. So this is a view from the LV, which is enabled by a 3D TE, which shows already there are two clips in position, and the resultant two orifices which are created by the clipping of the valve. Transcatheter valve replacement is another area where 3D has been used. So this is a 37-year-old post-tricuspid valve replacement with the degenerated bioprocesses. You can see that there is severe stenosis with some regurgitation.
Shija, another.
Yeah, I'm done.
Wind up it. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is a stenotic orifice which is seen from the left atrial side. Same can be seen from the left ventricular side. And this is the delivery system across this thing. And after deployment of the valve, we can see that there is some valvular regurgitation. And on a live 3D image, you can see that there is a catheter which was across the valve is splinting one of the leaflets and causing a regurgitation from that point. So it disappeared after removal of the catheter. So this was the final valve, and you can see beautifully the nicely coapting valve, both from the LA side as well as from the LV side. So the limitations are main limitation is the need for intubation and general anesthesia, and useful only in older children and adults. It has a learning curve and not widely accepted by all operators. Multiple reverberation and shadowing can be caused by the hardware and can lead to false dropouts also. And probe may interfere with the visualization of structures on fluoroscopy. To conclude, it's a useful tool for guiding complex structural interventions. It helps to decrease the radiation and contrast exposure, and has added value in patients with renal insufficiency. It increases the safety, accuracy, and efficacy of interventional procedures, which ultimately translates into better clinical outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Srija, for a nice presentation and wonderful.